Welcome to another edition of Exit Philosophy. He's Mal, I'm Griff, and we're here to talk about the World Baseball Classic.
All right.
Team Canada and Team USA matching up on the Elite Eight. But before we do that, I once again want to thank everyone who's watching on YouTube or listening wherever you get your podcasts. We really do appreciate your support. And don't forget to like, to share with your friends, and leave us a comment. And we love to hear from you. So, Mal, the game on Friday night, 5-3, Canada comes to the end of the road. What was your impression overall of the game and the way that Canada went through it?
I mean, I thought the game was kind of a little lackluster. I mean, it didn't have a whole lot of drama to it. It's till the seventh inning. But, I mean, you have to be pretty pleased with the overall performance of Team Canada, just getting to that spot and frankly, hanging tough. It looked early like it was going to be, a mercy type situation potentially on our hands. And they shut it down and fought their way back. So I think overall, you've got to be pretty proud of that whole group and feel good for Greg Hamilton in particular, and Ernie's put in the time. Kind of a little disappointing game, I would say, with what the opportunities they had. But, I mean, overall, I think a very successful tournament. They've had a few mishaps here and there, but, I think you'll look back and go, okay, we made a step, and the game's growing, and Canadian baseball's getting there, and you hope next time you get more participation. Even like there's this, the pitching was excellent. There's guys that could have helped as well. So
yeah, I think that Ernie Whitt mentioned it, and I feel better for Ernie Whitt than I do for. I feel good for Greg Hamilton and the program getting to the final eight, to the Elite Eight. But Ernie Whitt mentioned sort of what you were just saying. He said, hopefully there's other Canadians who are watching this and saying, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And he was referring specifically, I'm sure, to guys like Nick Pivetta and Matt Brash and
Smith. That's the big one. Sorry.
Yeah, because then you would not have had to have Philippe Aumont trundling out to the mound smelling cow manure.
I'm not sure that had to happen anyways. But
yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But
yeah,
to me, the fact you said there was. To me, it was compelling because you didn't want to see it reach the point that you were talking about perhaps being a mercy rule, perhaps getting away. I mean, it was dicey at the start of the game when Mike Soroka had trouble finding the strike zone, throwing strikes.
Yeah.
And handing it off to the bullpen that early, there's a bunch of no-names in the bullpen who responded tremendously. They were used properly for the most part, except, of course, we'll get to Philippe Aumont. But the fact that they held it at 5-0, narrowed it to 5-3, and then had the tying run at second base in the seventh inning, and then kept the score at that point. To me, that showed pride. That showed a competitive nature because you knew Team USA, and we'll get to that also, that they had a chip on their shoulder. They wanted to prove some things. They had made huge mistakes earlier, and they're lucky to be where they are. But to me, it was just start to finish of the 9 innings was compelling because of those storylines. You don't want to let the game get away. You don't want to finish the tournament on a sour note, and you want to show Team USA that you can be on the same field with them. And I think all those things happened.
Did you not find the absurdity of somehow USA was talking about the game, and like they're almost talking like they're underdogs, and they had the special ops guy come in there, and they're minus 900 favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, settle down, boys. Like you're supposed to win the game.
That's one of my categories. Why is Team USA so hard to like in this situation? Is it the arrogance? Is it the overconfidence? Is it playing the underdog when they're clearly not the underdog? But to me, I found that all the way from the beginning of this tournament that Team USA has been playing for their personal brand and their country, not for their teammates. Most of them don't seem to give a shit about their teammates. You know, they say, oh, it's great seeing Paul Skeens go out there, Tarek Skubal being on the same team as him. But here's another thing that makes him hard to like. Cal Raleigh pretending that not shaking Randy Arozarena's hand, not shaking Josh Naylor's hand, that makes him grr.
Yeah,
I'm ready to play. What do you think? I mean, that happened for a second time.
It made him insufferable. Made him insufferable is what it was.
Yeah, I used to like him. I would have voted for him MVP last year.
Me too. Yeah, and I mean, that doesn't change his performance, obviously, but yeah, like let's not, let's not, I don't know, dehumanize someone else. I mean, he's a baseball player. I don't care who he plays for. You shake your hand, he's your teammate. For crying.
Yeah, like what's the point that's being proven by doing that?
Yeah, and if you do that, you got to make sure it's a joke, and everybody knows it or something. You know what I mean? Like you've got to do it in jest. It didn't look that way.
Between Arozarena and Naylor, he could have said it was a joke. We're good friends.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He just repeated it again.
Yeah. That's and hence the dislike, I guess, of the American squad. The Dominicans don't do that, and you don't have to like the way they sometimes maybe it's a little much for people, but there's certainly a more zest for living type environment.
Recently I'm referring a lot back to Ironbacks, where I manage, you general manage, you own. But one of the messages that I give to our players is that if you celebrate, I don't mind celebration, but if you celebrate, you're celebrating towards our own dugout. You're not celebrating in the face of the other team, and you're not showing up umpires. You're celebrating with your teammates. And to me, that's what the Dominicans do. You never see a guy bat flip and turn to the other team's dugout. It's always to his dugout. Right. And that's why it takes 13 seconds to go from home plate to first base.
Right.
But, there is a difference in your face and in our face.
Right.
And I don't think that the Team USA, I think they're playing for the name on the front of their jersey, but Dominican, Venezuela, the Caribbean nations are playing for the team on the front of for the name on the front of their jersey, but also for the names on the backs of their jersey. And that completes the experience to me if you're going to go to one of these events.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And you love, I don't know, I think we've come to appreciate people having some joy for what they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to, it doesn't have to be a battle. It doesn't have to be about dominance. It doesn't have to be about, it's just, there's like you said, there's an arrogance there that just kind of turns you off a little bit.
Speaking of that.
And it goes beyond the game, obviously.
Yeah.
You can't separate those things, right?
Speaking of the arrogance and the attitude, let's talk about Mark DeRosa. Mark DeRosa showed why it's not great, even historically, to take someone from a broadcast booth or a broadcast studio, as he was with the MLB Network. He's been for years, never been in uniform after he retired. He had a 16-year major league career as a player, and people recall he came to the Blue Jays for 1 year. He was supposed to babysit Brett Laurie. His locker was next to his. So he's had a maturity and a role, almost as a coach. But you look at this and bringing a guy from the broadcast booth. Buck Martinez came down to manage the Blue Jays in 2000, 2001. And that proved to be I mean, I love Buck. Everybody loves Buck, but that was not his
it didn't go well.
prime role. It didn't go well. And then U.S. decided that they were going to romp with the 06 World Baseball Classic. They were going to romp through it. It was their event. They always set it up so that all the breaks and scheduling and whatever are in their favor. So Buck Martinez was on national TV, had experience managing the Jays. And so they named him World Baseball Classic manager, and they didn't win. So they repeated that mistake with Mark DeRosa. And DeRosa, if people aren't aware, he went on TV the morning of the Team Italy game. They were 3-0. He thought they had clinched, as he said, punched our ticket to the quarterfinals. So the team, after they beat Team Mexico, stayed in the clubhouse drinking and talking till about 2 a.m, apparently. And then they had a game against Italy. And he put guys in the lineup that normally would not be in the lineup, because there's the problem. Friends of the show. They've been on the morning show with Mark DeRosa. Maybe when he was recruiting them, he said, okay, Goldie, if you come, I'll make sure you get a start.
Yep.
So he needed to get him a start. But you can't, be the general manager, recruit the players, Mark DeRosa, but find somebody who's a real manager to manage the game. Because personal conflicts can enter the situation. For instance, I don't know what you think. I'll ask you right now, but having Tarek Skubal make his one start against Team Great Britain, to me, that shows disrespect for the entire field. If you're using a 2-time Cy Young Award winner to pitch against Team Great Britain in the second game of the pool, how about saving him for his one start for either Mexico or Italy? And then
I don't understand why he was even there. Because if you're he was trying to, play both sides, as they say, right? I mean, I think he was probably getting pressure from his agent. Obviously, it's a big year for him. But I mean, then don't go. Don't go. Just if you're going to make one start and jet. I mean, especially against Great Britain. I mean, Ryan Yarborough could have thrown that game.
No, we're not sure.
Instead of the big one against Italy. And then it just felt like he was trying to justify everything. And, and they know I wanted to be. Well, you just then be there. Then pitch and be there. I mean, if you can make one start, Griff, why can't you make a second start? Commit to the program.
Because I think he's pitching Saturday against the Jays, which, why not make that Saturday against whoever?
The Dominicans.
Yeah, or say, he could pitch Dominican and Skeens could pitch the championship against Japan if that's who it is.
Yeah, and they have neither now. So, I mean, I don't get it. If you're going to go.
That's the feeling that it doesn't matter who you play, you're going 4-0 in the pool. And I am convinced that Mark DeRosa did not know the tiebreaker rule, did not know that they had.
Of course he didn't, clearly.
And he went on, he said he misspoke. I would have respected him more if he had said, I really screwed up, man.
Yeah, I thought we were in.
I thought we were in. And I thought the guys from the front office who were telling me that there was a chance the tiebreaker could screw us, that they were full of it, it was my mistake. It's my mistake.
Yep.
But instead he goes, well, no, we knew the rules. You didn't know the rules because you had Clayton Kershaw warming up in the 9th inning. So you could fulfill your obligation to him where you told him, I'll get you in a game.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Mason Miller has to go down and say, Clayton, sit down.
Yeah.
I got my 103. I got to get ready. So.
Hey, old man, take a seat.
Which really going to the 9th inning against Canada and Mason Miller coming in.
They had no chance.
When you need 2 runs.
They had no chance against
No, they had no chance.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, what an impressive. Yeah.
With the lineup that was there at that moment in time for Canada. And going in, we talked about the improvement on the roster with the catcher and shortstop being the perennial or the tournament by tournament weak spots, catcher and shortstop. Bo Naylor has filled that role, and he should be there for the next couple of WBCs. And shortstop, Otto Lopez, I mean, he was surprising. Those are two guys who really upped their game. Of the roster players, Mal, are your top 5 guys in performance, either surprises or just straight up, these guys did what they should do? But your top 5 performers for Canada over the pool and the final or the quarterfinal game.
Well, I think clearly the best performer and the only one I think I would highlight of the position players is Owen Casey. What a nice tournament. He's looking like he's going to be a long time legit major leaguer, and even that last at bat he had where he struck out, he battled and he just looked like a legit hitter, and he is a Burlington boy there. I thought he was the one player that stood out as having a great tournament. In the rest of pitchers, I'll go. Paxton looked great. Cal Quantrill, who I'm so happy for, and Paul. Logan Allen, that's 4. And then I would just instead of having a 5th guy, I would just like to say the entire bullpen generally. I look the Tugboat did last night.
Yeah.
Outside of Amont, who honestly love the guy, shouldn't have been there. The bullpen was fantastic. So for me, those are the players that I thought kept them in it. But that start by Cal was great to see, and Paxton throwing 97, dude. Like he can pitch still if he wants to. Yeah. What about you? Who you got?
I got Owen Casey for sure, but I thought Bo Naylor, because of the weakness that Canada's always had behind the plate. He threw out some guys. He managed an inexperienced bullpen through the choppy waters, and he got them to the other end. So he's on my top 5. Then again, no other offensive players, but Cal Quantrill for sure. I mean, they don't get there unless Cal comes up with 5 big innings. They don't get to the game against Team USA. Paxton, the same thing. He's on my list. And Soroka set the tone in that first game, but he got into the big game, the quarterfinal game, and he had trouble throwing strikes against this lineup. Yeah.
I'll tell you who wasn't on my list, unfortunately, was Josh Naylor. I thought he had a really tough tournament. I thought on both sides, defensively, and he just you like that moment last night was everything. Second and third, nobody out. And it's just, and he just didn't have a good tournament. I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love the Nailers themselves. I can't wait till Miles gets his way there too. But he just didn't have a very good tournament, in my opinion. I don't know what you thought, but
Josh Naylor for sure. It was discouraging to see defensively as well as offensively. I mean, the play in Panama where he just straight out dropped the throw and it cost them a couple runs. Even the play at first base where Omar should have known. I mean, we know that you don't practice PFP in your barn. You can throw, you can get your arm loosened up, but you don't practice fundamentals in your barn unless you got the cow covering first. I'm not sure. But the Naylor performance, he's going to have to redeem himself in the next one. But imagine if he had performed like Josh Naylor. I think they could have won the game yesterday and gone 4-0 in the preliminary.
But even if he manages to get a run home with a ground ball, like now you're 5-4, and maybe you're doing something different to get that run home from third with one out. You know what I mean? Like instead of having to get the base hit. So it was just the pop-up was the worst scenario, and then of course the strikeouts came after. But I think we needed a better AB there.
Yeah, I think Abraham Toro is a nice offensive player, but they need a real defensive third baseman to go out there and perform. And
that arm didn't play so well.
Yeah, and Clark in center field, I thought earlier in the tournament that he should be hitting near the top of the order because of his speed, but his bat is still developing. I mean,
that's the thing too, right? Yeah. Clearly, we are fine in center field for a long time, but he looks overmatched still as a young player with the bat. There's no question. But center field's looked after.
Yeah. And Owen Casey, I mean, there's another outfield spot that's looked after, whether it's left field or right field, moving on to future tournaments. And that's very encouraging. And we know there's a lot of good young Canadian players coming up in the lower levels of the minors and even AA and AAA. So they're less than 3 years away. And, even the Canadian kid at third base that is only 18 or 19 now was drafted high out of BC. Piazentin.
Yeah.
He's got great power. We'll see how he develops defensively. But the future's looking bright, especially if Ernie Whitt's plea that people who weren't here pay attention and maybe they'll want to come. But that brings me to question, what do you think should be Ernie Whitt's future? I mean, he's been the Team Canada national manager since 1999. Pan Am Games in Winnipeg. Do you think he should step down or be replaced? Somebody else should, a younger manager step in?
Nope. No, I don't think so. I think he's been on this journey with us, and if it's too much for Ernie, that's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, Ernie's got the job until he doesn't want it anymore. Let's talk to him about Oman and let's get past that one.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought he managed the team well. He brought in some lefties to get some key outs that were very played out well for him. I mean, I think Ernie's put his time in, and I think he deserves every opportunity to keep going as long as he wants to. You know what I mean? And it's a tournament, Griff. It's not a full season. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with Ernie there.
Yeah, I was of the persuasion that maybe they should go in a different direction with a manager, but there's a lot to be said for knowing the ins and outs and the nuances of tournament play. And you mentioned tournament play being different. I mean, two of my favorite moments were when Paxton was dealing and Ernie twice went to the mound mid-count because it was 49 pitches. And you could see the smile of understanding on Paxton's face. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, that was cool. And you need a manager who knows that. Right, Mark DeRosa?
Yeah, right.
But, so – I mean, they could go. He is. I don't know how old Ernie is. He's probably mid-70s.
Like, who would you go out and get? I mean, there's a lot of guys, obviously, but I mean, Canadian guys. Like to me, people say, "Well, the Ernie's not Canadian." You know what I mean? But at this point, he is. You know,
what I mean? I had him on a conversation, and if anybody wants to go back into the archives, I think it's still there. But he said it often that he feels Canadian, I mean, he's just from across the border in Michigan.
Now, if we did replace Ernie, I think you should go. There's enough Canadian talent in the coaching managerial world that I think you should replace him with a Canadian if you did replace him.
Yeah.
But I see no need for that.
Yeah. I disagree with that slightly.
Okay.
In that I think anybody with a Canadian connection who has experience managing might be like someone who's coached or played at a high level and coached after being with either the Jays or the Expos. That somebody with a Canadian connection would probably, and who has coaching experience would be a guy. Not that a Canadian plucked to manage the team wouldn't have the same respect, but I think bringing history of successful managing with that Canadian connection to the helm, to the dugout of Team Canada would be an answer. But I'll agree with you that Ernie.
What if you went out and got Adam Stern to do it, who spent his life coaching, and he runs the Great Lakes Canadians now. He's a Canadian baseball hero for what he did for them. To me, that'd be the kind of thing I'd be looking to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those, there's people out there. That's all I'm saying. But fair enough. I also understand what you're saying. A Canadian connection that's connected to the major league team. Fair enough. Fair enough. But I'm perfectly fine with Ernie. Just keep carrying the torch. At least another turn around next time,
Yeah, I came into this discussion not thinking that way, but I'll think that way right now because for me, Adam Stern or somebody who's been dealing in player development in Canada would also have the same issues of that Mark DeRosa has. It's like, hey, buddy, I helped develop you, and this is what your role is going to be, type thing. But just someone who understands Canada and the Canadian pride and the pride of the athletes, the pride of the players who have come up through the system, and most of them have played for Greg Hamilton's junior program or whatever. So
correct. Yeah.
So there is more playing for the names on the front and the back of the uniform than there is for Team USA.
I guess the other question is, how long is Greg going to do this? He's been doing this a very long time.
Yeah.
So, what's that look like going forward? What's that succession plan, I wonder? That might be the bigger question.
I never even thought of that, but
yeah.
So Canada had 3 U.S. born players and 1 born in Slovakia, Adam Mako. Italy, 3 players born in Italy, 3 pitchers born in Italy, 12 pitchers born in the USA, and 0 of 15 position players born in Italy. Clearly, they would not do well in an Olympic situation where there's stricter guidelines. What do you think? What are the pros and cons of having such easy qualification rules for all of these European nations and others around the world?
I think you have to have them. I think you need a competitive tournament. You need a competitive tournament, and you need to allow those countries to it's not like that. There is heritage there, so I understand that, but it keeps the tournament competitive. And when you're trying to grow the game around the globe, like baseball is, I think you need that. Otherwise, you're going to have U.S., the Latin countries, and the Asian countries, and nobody else is going to be able to compete. So until the game is bigger in all those countries, I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to have those lax rules, because you're right. Britain, any of the countries, they're all looking for, even Israel, for crying out loud. But Italy, of course, is probably the biggest example of that. They're not competing otherwise.
Yeah.
And they're not competing in the Olympics, right?
Yeah, I mean, this tournament format, the WBC, is not to determine what's the best baseball playing country in the world. It's to determine how you can grow the game the same way that that basketball spreads the word throughout the world. But like Francisco Cervelli, manager of the Team Italy, was talking about how this success that Team Italy had is going to produce Italian-born players to try and reach the next level, and eventually, and what you're saying and what I'm suggesting is that maybe in 2 WBCs from now, it'll be half the players that were born in Italy.
Right.
But to me, the most amusing is Austin Wells catching for Team Dominican. he's got got a second generation connection with the Dominican Republic, and to see him hit a 3-run walk-off yesterday on Friday. Yeah, we're recording Saturday. On Friday, to see him hit the walk-off 3 runs and celebrate in the same way with all those Dominican players who were over the top celebrating. But he's Austin Wells. He's a Yankee. He can't have unkempt facial hair. Like,
right.
Come on, what's up with you guys?
Yeah, that one just feels a little too much, doesn't it?
What's your
well, all the strong lineage of Welleses and then Dominican Republic.
Well, which brings me to the question of your impression of the Caribbean nations, especially Dominican, Venezuela. I mean, in addition to all of those over-the-top celebrations, they also have a sense of respect for the opposition. I mean, the hugging and the handshakes and the smiles and the laughing that went on during the Dominican-Venezuela pregame and the game itself. To me, I love that stuff.
Well, but that's always been the criticism.
You've seen me manage, and that's the way that it goes,
That's always been the criticism, Griff, though. Like when they've shown that emotion here, it doesn't play. It's not professional. You disrespect the game. You know what I mean? And I think as we get more of those Latin players in and time goes on, we realize they're not disrespecting the game. You know what I mean? They're celebrating it. And there's a difference between disrespecting your opponent and just playing with some joy. And I think that's creeped into Major League Baseball, and it's starting to be accepted more. Where even 10 years ago, I remember being in those dugouts like, oh, that's disrespectful to the game. No, that's just the way us, less jovial people played the game. Like
tighter ass people, you mean?
Tighter ass. And you can see when they play each other, it's not disrespect. They have great respect for the teammates, but they also know when they do something well, they get to celebrate it. And you're not going to get one in the ear next time.
I think in hindsight, we could blame the 74-win Blue Jays season in 2024,
right,
to the attitude of Mark Shapiro and the Blue Jays front office and Ross Atkins, in that our dugout, meaning the Blue Jays dugout, is having way too much fun. They got the jacket. They got Mario. They got the neighborhood at the end of the dugout. We can't have that.
Yeah,
they're losing. They're smiling. What's up with that? 162 games. You can't frown because you're behind in game 38 of the season. But some people didn't in North American baseball and Major League Baseball don't like that. And I think that this tournament and the televised camaraderie and joy that the Caribbean nations show is going to change the attitude, hopefully, of a lot of people in MLB.
And it is, and it has, and it does so slowly, but it will change, and it has changed. So you get that every team now has a home run celebration, Griff. Like that was very much frowned upon for a long time. It's an embarrassment. What are you doing with these props in the dugout? Now it's just guys are chugging bongs, they're doing all these goofy things.
I think Team Italy has earned a lot of fans with the espresso celebration and the Armani jacket that goes with it.
It is excellent. I got to give them credit for this. Espresso thing's fantastic. But it has changed. Like I said, 10 years ago, there was no props in the dugout and silly things like that. Now it's an acceptable part of the game. So we're coming together, Griff. The world's coming together.
So that being said, and with everything that we've been watching, and I assume that ratings across Canada have been good, and a lot of Blue Jays fans have been watching this also. Not just Team Canada, but the other games. What do you think fans now are going to have a different view of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Because this is always the way he's played. And people are going, he doesn't care enough. He doesn't run every ground ball out. He doesn't seem to care. You look in the dugout, he's smiling, he's kibitzing with guys. And And do you think that this is going to change anyone's attitude on Vlad? Because I've always understood what we're talking about with the different culture and the different connection game.
When every swing you make is over 100 miles an hour exit velocity,
that helps.
They'll forgive a lot. They forgive a lot real fast. Like he has been on a tear. So yeah, I think Vladdy's a bit of a hero at these parts now. So unless he comes out and has a stinker of a season, which seems very unlikely, I'm sure. Yeah, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, you and I, having a stinker of a season, you and I have seen and been around dugouts and clubhouses and see what a jolt of confidence can do to a player's performance. It's not just mechanics of hitting. For a lot of guys, it's in your head. And it's always been there for Vlad. 100 miles an hour should be his floor.
Right.
But because of the confidence from the last year's postseason and this year's WBC, I don't think that there's any doubt that he's going to become one of the elite players.
Oh, there's every reason to believe that. Obviously, it's hard to sustain success continually, but he's looking like every bit the part he was expected to be when they brought him in at 16 years old. He's just a legit hitting talent. You know what I mean? I can remember, I tell that story when I was in the press box and he was a young boy in the minor league system, struggling to play third base and, trying to figure out what that's going to look like. And I asked one of our assistant GMs at the time, I said, what are they going to do with him? Like what position is he going to play long term? And he just turned to me and he said, 4-hitter. We don't care. Oh, I said, fair enough. We'll figure it out. His position is 4-hitter, and that's what he is. He's a legit big league hitter. Yeah. And obviously he's been good at first base. So it's
I was going to say he has turned into a really legitimate. You compare with other first basemen and he makes some plays that are sort of weird that you go, why did he do that? But the majority of the time he picks them. He makes glove plays on the line, to his right. Coming in, he's got the best throwing arm. He has become a really complete player. And we both agreed heading into this week, we haven't talked about it right now, but he would round out his credentials as a Canadian sports hero if he would play one WBC, maybe not the next one, but the one after that for Team Canada.
Well, how about Dominican wins this thing and his job is done there, and then he can come on over to the good boys here.
Yeah.
He can say we won again. He was a key contributor. I did pick them to win it, so I like more than that.
Let me just go over the pool play here.
Yeah, let's do that.
You and I talked about pools A to D.
Yeah.
And out of the 5-team pools, we picked the 2 in each pool that was going to advance. And you were 8 for 8. You had all 8 teams. I was 5 for 8, which is like pedestrian.
Yeah.
When you have some really bad teams here.
Right.
And in pool A, you said Canada over Puerto Rico. That's what happened. I said Puerto Rico first and Canada second. So you were right. I was right, but not really.
Yeah.
Pool B, you said USA and Italy.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying nobody picked Italy. Well, now picked Italy.
I picked Italy.
I picked USA and Mexico. So you just had the order reversed. Nobody would have believed. Well, you didn't know that Mark DeRosa was not going to know the rules.
Yeah, I figured he'd know the rules and put his A team on the field against Italy. So, maybe I should have managed the team.
To me, the moment that I said this guy doesn't know the rules is when he put Ryan Yarbrough in the game against Italy.
Yeah, and that's what got him too. I know what.
Pool C, which was in Tokyo, you picked Japan, and Korea.
Correct.
So it was Japan and Korea. I picked Japan and Australia. I was close.
In fairness, I think I did say I'm going to pick an upset and have Korea win the pool, but I still got them through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must have miswrote that.
Yeah, in fairness. But
and the final pool in Miami, that was the raucous. Anyone who thought baseball was boring pool, who watched that would change their mind. That was Dominican first, Venezuela second. That's what you predicted. That's what I had, Dominican and the Netherlands, which
that didn't go well for them.
No, that did not go well. So you were 8-0. I was 5-3.
No, if there's an unfortunate aspect to all that, no, I did not bet on any of that. That would have been even better.
Yeah. Then you'd be able to get some proper lighting for your podcast.
Yeah. I'll fix that. That's right. I'll still have to spring for that. Correct.
Okay, so let's move to the Blue Jays at spring training. A lot of people obviously didn't really pay attention while the World Baseball Classic was on, but one of the things was, and I need your opinion on this, José Berríos and the discovery of elbow inflammation as he was being checked for the insurance purposes of going to join Puerto Rico for this round of the World Baseball Classic. Now, if it just showed up, because he had pitched his regular turn so far this spring and had pitched pretty well, and he says even now that he doesn't really feel anything. And this is crazy because it's helping to clear up the one positive is it's helping clear up the starting five. It looks like the Dodgers, the way they handle their pitchers, they put guys on the IL. And then when, it keeps them fresh. I think last year the Dodgers only had Yamamoto throw over 100 innings and every other starter was under 100 innings.
Right.
So it's sort of shaping up like that because the Jays had 8 starting pitchers. Now Bieber's on the IL. And it looks like Berrios, I would doubt very much if he would not start on the IL, even if the inflammation is just inflammation. He's gone to see Dr. Meister on Tuesday. So we'll get a bigger report, but he said he doesn't feel anything. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, for starters, you just got to feel for Berrios. I mean, how much more nonsense can he go through? You know what I mean? I just feel like he's had tough luck the last little while when you can go back to just how it ended for him last year. The situation that he went through, not being on the roster, and I get it. Like it's probably the right choice to take off for the World Series, but and then obviously not being able to get the insurance for the first round, and to fully believe everything was in place for round 2, and then at the last minute, he really wants to pitch for his country. Nothing's turning out well for Jose these days. You know what I mean? So,
in another way, we've discussed it since probably January 1st. We've discussed this weekly. Is that the team? We just differed on when it would happen. I said that going into spring training, they would look for a trade for Berrios because he's got those 2 additional years after 2026 that are a player opt-out this year, but they're guaranteed. And you suggested that maybe during spring training they would have a better opportunity to get a package back because other teams would have injuries and whatever. But neither of us thought that this would be the thing that would take him off the trade market. And it's probably bad news for the Blue Jays front office in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's hope that this is very minor stuff. And obviously there's been an insurance issue with these guys. So, I'm sure if he doesn't even feel it, it can't be all that serious. So let's hope it's just a minor thing and he's back to throwing. And It's got more to do about the insurance companies and things along those lines for some reason. But it certainly does put a halt to any plans you have. There's no question about it. You've got to wait and see what comes of it.
Yeah, with Max Scherzer being signed and Eric Lauer whining about his role, this is helping to clear that up, but not the way that they had probably hoped.
No.
But we know they suspected that Shane Bieber would not be ready, and they're saying he'll be pushed back a little from opening day, but we're suggesting that historically, from both of our experiences, that it could be middle of May at the earliest.
Right. That's that. I mean, that'd be a surprise, especially at this time of year if he's not even, you're not ramping up or anything. It takes a while to get these guys ready, and then you need your rehab start and all that stuff, right? So, I don't know. And if there's a concern, if counting on Max Scherzer, I think that scares me.
Yeah. Well, but that's the Dodgers situation where you sign guys that may have a history of injuries, but you don't care because you've deferred a lot of the salary. And in the case of Scherzer, they've got $3 million guaranteed, and then he has to pitch to earn every million after that.
Right.
So it's sort of like the Dodgers strategy where that there's a chance Max Scherzer will be injured at some point, and he's not going to make 30 starts. He's not going to pitch 155 innings to max out his bonus plan. But you're willing to live with it because you've got that depth. I mean, they're starting the season with Bieber and we assume Berríos on the IL. That's $34.7 million of starting pitcher on the IL. So you are relying on them at some point. You don't just say, okay, that's good. Get them out of the way. You're paying them that much money. You need to see them do something in 2026. It's just that it's going to be delayed. And
April could be interesting. I mean, you're one more injury away from where'd all our depth go?
We've seen that before.
Yeah.
I remember walking across in Tampa for a Jays game against the Yankees, and they had just signed Randy Johnson and Kevin Brown, and I walked across, and you know how the bridge from the parking lot goes over their bullpen? I'm looking, and they got 5 guys there that are like potential Hall of Fame guys or certainly all-stars, and they're all throwing, and you're going, holy shit, how is anybody going to beat this team? And then by May or June, 2 or 3 of them were down injured, and you had just another team, with a couple of studs at the top. So, 162 games is not something that you can plan definitively in March.
Correct. Things change, and we make all these predictions. We talk about who should be on. We could talk about the bullpen ad nauseum, and it just changes instantly.
Yeah.
The season starts. This guy's up. This guy's down. They're all, you know what I mean? They're all part of it at some point, anyways. So,
okay. So, what is your impression then? I mean, we'll continue on with the rotation of the way that they're handling Trey Yesavage. If the understanding is that he's not hurt, he hasn't been in a regular season Grapefruit League game yet.
I know. Different. Interesting. Sure. I guess they want him to be ready when it counts more, so to speak. So they're bringing him on slowly. I don't think it's wrong what they're doing. I'm just not used to seeing it handled this way, where you hold a guy back basically. Usually you're just kind of limited innings as they go along, right? So it's a different approach. We'll see how it goes. I think if he's strong and healthy towards the back half of the year, it's going to look like a smart move. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, we don't know how often he has pitched like a 60 pitch outing at the minor league complex at the training center. I mean, on those days where he should have been scheduled in a major league game, and there's been a long-standing tradition of hiding your starting pitchers, your young guys, even your veteran guys, against teams that they're going to face during the regular season. So a lot of times when a Yankee game is scheduled and it's a Gosman, or they'll leave him at the complex and they'll send somebody else over there.
Right.
I think that's how Alek Manoah got his big start, is that he was replacing somebody else, and he struck out 5 Yankees in Tampa. So, but the thing is that you can't hide him. I mean, people have game video.
You can't do it anymore. You can't do it anymore. Yeah.
So I don't, and I know there's a lot of old school, old time pitchers, starting pitchers, who are shaking their head going, what the hell's going on? But a lot of these guys are guys that 20 years later can't wipe their ass. So they're, they may be pissing and moaning about it, but maybe the analytics and the nerds have it right. I don't know, but this is not good for the fan base. This is not good for ticket sales. Hey, look, Trey Yesavage, let's go buy some tickets for April.
Yeah,
and that's what training was invented for.
And I just am. I mean, I'm sure somebody will come on and prove me very wrong, but I just don't know. Like, limiting innings to such an extent, like I think we're too calculated on what the innings should be. You know what I mean? Instead of worrying about the effort guys put in those innings. And that's just the way the game is. Everybody's throwing max everything, Griff. So you almost can't avoid the inevitable breakdown, and it's just part of the game. When it's not if the Tommy John, it's when is the Tommy John. And so there's Jose Berríos is a unicorn. He's a unicorn.
Yeah, that's crazy. Straight years of 7 straight full seasons with exactly 32 starts. You don't see that anymore.
And back in our day, that was common. Guys just pitched. Everybody got their 30 starts. They pitched and pitched and pitched, but it wasn't so much the innings. It's the effort that's put in. It's the torque. That's what's changed in the game.
If Trey Yesavage, if the Jays had been eliminated before the end of the season or in the first round, and Trey Yesavage had barely pitched, he'd be pitching every 5th day here at spring training. He'd be pitching every 5th day to try and earn a spot.
Earn a spot because he'd be targeted for Buffalo, Griff.
Yeah, and he'd be getting his innings in a major league game and a Grapefruit League game, but I guess things have changed, and people are smarter than the person next to them. Everybody's trying to be the smartest guy in the room. So
and that is true. And I sometimes think it takes away some of the joy of the game, doesn't it? But I mean, that is their prized asset. There's no question. So if they go out there and let him throw and he gets hurt, it looks bad. But you're gonna get hurt anyways.
Yeah, right. He could get hit by the team bus or something.
Well, they could just get hurt pitching. Like he could get hurt in his 30th inning. Never mind his 180th. You know what I mean?
So while the next item is while the entire infield was away, including Alejandro Kirk behind the plate, Josh Kasevich has stepped up and been impressive. Leo Jimenez got like 4 at-bats in the World Baseball Classic and has been away for 10 days. How much do you think that helps or clears up any situation? To me, Kasevich, if he doesn't make the team as the utility guy now, this might be his window because there's so many quality middle infielders, shortstops stampeding up behind him. So he's at this level. He showed at spring training that he has all of the attributes to be a bench guy, and he may never be more than a bench guy. So why not use him as a bench guy is my feeling, while he's still an asset for you.
And he just feel like their type of guy. You know what I mean?
He feels like an Ernie Clement.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a look there over Leo. Whether that's justified or not, we'll see. But he's certainly looking like he deserves a shot at it. To see how that goes. And like I said, I think he feels like a fit for them. Because you're right, he's unless something happens. I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to be, the future in the infield unless he finds a utility role, and maybe that's it. But they've obviously got their sights set on younger players that are hopefully. You never know, though. I mean, Namala didn't take the step you wanted last year. No. Not that he's not legit.
Not even at spring training this year.
And JoJo's very far away.
Yeah. we talk about. We've talked about going into spring training, the sort of mirage of spring training performance, and you could argue that Yesavage is one of those. That what looks so great at spring training doesn't translate when the regular season starts. Right. So, but if anybody's, because that's not a strength. There's not a battle for that backup middle infielder spot. Right. It's Leo Jimenez and then there's a question mark.
Right.
So the should be Josh Yesavage among this group.
Yep.
And it's not the best solution. They may still reach out and sign somebody or trade for somebody, but I don't think Leo Jimenez. They've given him opportunities, and his ceiling looks pretty close to his floor.
Yeah, I like him more than you. I think he's cut his teeth down in AAA, obviously, and he can handle the glove. And I just think the bat is a little better than everybody gives him credit for. But fair enough. Like, we're not talking, like you say, ceiling floor. That's a good thing to say there. And Josh has played himself into the mix at least, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next week or so.
So yesterday afternoon, which would be Friday afternoon, I just spun through the Blue Jays game, and my boy Eloy Jimenez stroked one deep to right center field for a home run.
Yeah.
He's got 5 extra base hits, 2 homers. He looks comfortable at the plate. He looks healthy. But again, there's the spring training doesn't always match the regular season. He's a non-roster guy. But if you think, and we arrived at the conclusion that Eloy Jimenez and Jesus Sanchez are the equivalent of having a healthy Santander out there in terms of ability to produce offense and inability to produce defense.
Yeah, nobody can play defense.
So now you got Springer, Varsho, and if those two guys, like I'm a big Eloy Jimenez supporter. So if there's 2 guys plus Springer, Varsho, that leaves Straw, Barger, Schneider, Lucas for 2 spots.
Yeah, and it's Straw and Barger. And I've said this from the get-go. Schneider can go to AAA. Lucas can too, I think. And I think the biggest argument for bringing Jimenez in is, like you say, that is a skill set they're missing on this team. Like, they lost it with Santander. So the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Against lefties and righties. He only do it against lefties, but the other guy does it against righties. So. And
I think his performance in the spring tells you've got to at least give it a shot. So if you get to April and it's a different game for him, and he looks like, some of what he's looked like the last little while. Okay, you still got those guys ready to go. This isn't about feel good. The chemistry can be, reignited later. I know it's great and Snyder and all that, but I think you have to try and put your best product on the field, and maybe defensively they find that doesn't play after a while. I don't know, but Sanchez and Jimenez platoon makes too much sense right now.
Well, you might end up, if that was the way they go, with a left field platoon of guys that don't play great defense. You might see Straw play 120 games and only have 250 at bats because he plays defensively late in any game that they're leading.
And he can run. So you're right. You're right. He could be that guy, and he's going to be that guy. Actually, I think that role is pretty safe for Snoop.
Yeah, his role. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Especially if you bring those two.
Now, the last item, catching up with the Blue Jays in spring training, is the one bullpen spot. And I think you mentioned it in passing just a few minutes ago, is that everyone in the bullpen, if you have options, if you have the ability to be moved up and down, starting the season on the major league roster doesn't signal that you're not being valued. It signals that you're in reserve at AAA in case but when someone gets hurt or underperforms, then your ability is to come back. So you got guys like, to me, Chase Lee has options. Spencer Miles is a Rule 5. You got to make a decision. Bastardo started out strong. I haven't really seen him doing much lately, but he's a Rule 5 guy who would have to go back. Yariel Rodriguez had a solid Cuban World Baseball Classic campaign, had 3 multi-inning outings, but he's a non-roster and he cleared waivers and he can go to Buffalo and he can be called up at any time. And you're not releasing him because you're paying him for the next couple of years.
Yep.
Paying him like guaranteed money for the next couple of years. So he's down there. So the bullpen might be in good shape depending on the decisions they make going into the season and the health. But they seem to have a reserve of not quality arms, but workable arms at Buffalo.
And apparently Brendan Little's throwing 98 miles an hour. That's perfectly normal.
Yeah. You imagine how much dirt that could kick up compared to what it was last year.
That's right. Bigger cloud of test. So you're right. There are a lot of options in that bullpen. And I said I expect them to try. We'll see. Maybe Bastardo's not works his way out of that, but I expect them to try and sneak him through. So
that's what I mean. And this, most of the media down there is also on the Rogers payroll. So we're seeing and even optimism about guys like Spencer Miles and guys like that. So,
and even some that aren't on the Rogers payroll feel like they are. So,
yeah, I suppose
it's a very positive vibe. Very positive vibe down there, Griff.
Anyway, there were 13. I'll just wrap it up right now. There were 13 Blue Jays organization players at the World Baseball Classic. They'll all be coming back sometime this week. There's maybe 3 or 4 left in the tournament, including Vlad. So we'll talk next week about the wrap up, the final 4 of the WBC. The infield returning. We'll talk more about Blue Jays next week. And
we're close to the
I know. Yeah, it's like they got 4 days off with no games, and then the opener at home on the 28th. So it's getting close. It's the heartbeat is racing now,
Yeah.
But we'll have a lot to talk about next week. But this was a week more dedicated to Team Canada and where they stood. So
let's go Dominican.
Yeah. Go Dominican, go Italy. But that's not possible. So
that's right.
So we will talk again next week on Exit Philosophy. And in the meantime, just thanks again to our listeners who are becoming more and more and reaching out to us, and feel free to reach out with comments and questions, and we'll try and answer them on air. So until next week, Mal, appreciate it. Thanks for co-hosting, and we will see you all in a week.
Thank you.